Zuvuya is a force that propels synchronicity and consequently the supply from which magic bursts forth. It is a reflex of cosmic memory, the circuit through which everything comes back to itself. Through synchronicity, symbols, and metaphors, we are rearranging and forming our inner landscape to be able to grow in the fullness of being our own selves. Welcome to our podcast. In this sacred space, we share valuable knowledge, experiences, and art for the benefit of all. Coming up.
And then so above and beyond that, we know that music has an effect on our blood pressure, on our heart rate, on the stress hormones like cortisol, adrenaline. It lowers that, on vagal nerve stimulation, which is that goes throughout your body. It returns your body to a state of calm. If the vagus nerve is ramped up, then you're always in a highly anxious state.
Yes.
And your friend Dr. Bruce Lipton said you cannot heal and defend at the same time. So if you're defending, if you're defending against toxins in your environment or bad thoughts or whatever, you're not healing.
Hello, Synchronauts, and welcome to our third episode of our podcast, the Zuvuyasessions. And today I have a very special guest, my friend who is a singer and also a musician, also an author, Flicka Rahn. She's joining us from Texas in the United States. And we're going to be talking about the healing power of music. So let me tell you a little bit about Flicka. She's an internationally known vocal performer, author, teacher, and published composer. She served on the music faculty at Texas A&M University, Corpus Christi for 22 years, in addition to Brandeis University in Boston and the Boston Conservatory of Music. As an internationally known professional soprano, she has appeared with the Boston Lyric Opera, Boston Philharmonic, New York Wagner Society, Minnesota Grand Opera, San Antonio Opera, and the Sinfonía de Querétaro in Mexico. She has traveled throughout Mexico with notable Mexican artists presenting uniting nations through music. In addition to her active professional career, she is a sound therapist and workshop facilitator for the Transformational Power of Sound workshops. Her art songs for soprano and piano have been published in the Southern Music series, Art Songs by American Women Composers, edited and compiled by Ruth Friedberg. Miss Friedberg and Miss Rahn performed American art song in China, France, Mexico, Bolivia, and Spain. Her recently published book, The Transformational Power of Sound and Music, is available from Amazon. But not only that, also her 3 meditation CDs, Chakra Soundscapes, Hymns to Gaia, and Ascension, are available on iTunes and all streaming platforms. It is my great pleasure to introduce Flicka to each and every one of you who is listening. And the beauty of this amazing episode is we're not going to talk only about music, but also a little bit about quantum physics, which is what we were talking about in our last episode, a lot about science, and a lot about how music can bring you great healing and not only great joy. So, Synchronauts, welcome, and let's begin today's episode. Welcome, Synchronauts, to our second episode of the Zuvuya Sessions, and I want to give a warm welcome to my guest and dear friend, Flicka Rahn. How are you?
I am excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much, Aida.
Great to have you here. She's connecting to us from Texas, right?
Yes.
In the United States, and she's a beautiful human being, and she's a great artist as well, and also a healer. So I'm really happy to have her here with us today because I think that now more and more we're hearing about sound baths and the effect of music in healing, and you're becoming an expert and you're also doing some research. So for people who have maybe heard about this, but they have no idea. I want to tell them a little bit about you and also what is the interest behind it. But first of all, let me tell everybody that you have written a book called, and with, let me tell me if I'm pronouncing this correctly, with Tammy McCrary.
Yes.
Yes, the book is called The Transformational Power of Sound and Music, a handbook for sound healers and musicians. And also with your musical partner, Daniel Weinman, you have also released 3 albums. You are collectively known as the Icaros. So you have 3 albums which are called Chakra Soundscapes, Hymns to Gaia, and Ascension. And what I loved about your book, because you gave me a book some time ago when you visited us here in Mexico, you come very often to visit, which is amazing. And I noticed that it has reviews from people like Shaka Khan, mm, Michael Bernard Beckwith, which is a very popular person, especially after this movie, The Secret, came out, and also Marianne Williamson. So you have really big people behind your work, not only as collaborators, but also with the reviews and endorsing you. So this is amazing that people are recognizing what you are bringing to the world. So please, Flicka, tell us how and why did you become a sound therapist?
Well, the story begins a long time ago, Aida. Let me tell your audience that I spent most of my life prior to my retirement as an academic, teaching in universities. So I probably taught for over 35 years, and the last 23 were in Texas at Texas A&M. So many of your listeners may know that university. And I taught voice and other courses related to music, theory, languages, some music history. And I also taught courses on the healing nature of music because I had become fascinated with that during some very difficult times in my life, in which I turned to music as the great healer. And so that is what I spent my work history was mostly in education. And then I also did a lot of professional singings with the operatic venues and concert venues in the Boston and New York. And then after I retired, I continued to sing professionally, and I do, but I became fascinated with healing music because I saw the effects of it as I worked with my students who had great emotional releases and realizations through their own voice sounding. So I thought to myself, well, what really is healing music? I mean, has that question ever really been answered? So I started doing research on and I said, I wonder if there's commonalities between all of the healers throughout the world and throughout history. Are there musical commonalities? Because being a musician, I understood that. So I began to search, and I studied ancient Egyptian music, certainly the music of the Greek healing temples, and the Indian sacred music. The Peruvian shaman. Actually, what I went, and I'll tell you later, I went and spent time with them in Peru, and then the North American Indians and the Australian shaman with the didgeridoos. Was there something that, or things that were musical elements that a musician would understand and recognize that were common? And I found them. So that I got very, very excited. Then I delved more into the physics of why they worked. Why do all these things work?
Mm-hmm.
And that led me into the study of quantum physics.
Awesome.
As I began to make some sense out of this.
Mm-hmm.
So actually the Tibetan singing bowls, metal, they were metal, they are metal,
Yeah.
really drew me. I loved that sound, but and the more contemporary version of the Tibetan singing bowls are the quartz crystal singing bowls, which many people are familiar with. And so I started to learn to play those crystal bowls, much like I would play a piano, because I am a pianist as well as a singer. So that gave me a little bit of an edge over someone who is not a pianist, because I saw it as a keyboard,
Of
the
course.
bowls, and I set it up like a keyboard, and I could play chords and melodies and all sorts of things that. But let me circle on back here to talk about the elements that I found that were common as I researched the indigenous healers from all over the world. I found that most of the music, well, certainly from ancient sources, it's all live music. So then I said, why? Certainly they had no way of recording it, but is there something in endemic in that live music? And that led me to overtones, which for people who are not musicians, that is the overtone array in a note, like a fundamental note, like one note, tells you if it's a flute or a trumpet or your aunt Sissy's voice or Uncle Sam or who. So it's the overtone array that differentiates, that your ear picks up. Oh, that's a da-da.
Okay.
So they can all be sounding the same pitch, but the sound is different, and that is because of the overtones present or not present.
Mm.
So so I started seeing that the healing instruments were very rich in the higher overtones, like the didgeridoo,
Oh.
like the singing bowls. And if you can call to mind some of the great singers that people love to hear sing, like Luciano Pavarotti or Maria Callas, the great soprano, very, very rich, that sound that they had, rich in higher overtones.
Oh.
So that was one thing. So the live music. And the other thing I found was that a drone was present very often. Now, a drone is a continued low pitch, a very low pitch.
Okay.
Like if you think of a bagpipe, there is a
Okay.
drone underneath the melody that the bagpipes play.
Yes, like a resonant, no, like a resonance, some kind of vibration that is very low.
Very low, yes. And it's
Okay.
generally one pitch, a
Okay.
drone. It can change, but it's a continued pitch. So it's not in intervals. It continues.
All the time, like the basis of the sound, no?
Yes,
Like the
yes,
structure. Ah, okay.
yes.
Interesting.
And so that has emotional effects on people and also energetic effects.
Okay.
And I can return to that, but let me just get through this list of elements that I found that were common
Sure.
throughout all the healing music. So we
Mm-hmm.
had drones. Then we had in many of the melodies were triads. So a triad is three notes. If you're a musician, it's like C, E, G. So so if I were singing those three notes, I don't know if it's a C, I don't have perfect pitch, but it'd be do, mi, fa, do, mi, so. That's a triad. And if you play those together, then you have a chord. So you find that in like the song Kumbaya, Kumbaya, my Lord, and Amazing Grace. Amazing Grace. So very often you'll find triads turning up all over the place.
Okay, so these are elements that keep repeating themselves, both in healing music and in like more modern music that is very appealing to people.
Yes. Now,
Ah,
this is what I found. I'm
okay.
getting a chill up my throat. The reason why humans or our species is connected to those triads
Mhm.
is because it is hardwired in our own body.
Ah, okay. This is very interesting.
So I'll do this. I've never done this for anybody before on a Zoom call, but I'll try to do this for, because I was experimenting with this earlier as I was thinking about some other aspects. All right. So if you ever heard of overtone singers?
I don't know if you can give us an example.
Sure, I will. I'll do it for you.
Oh,
Now,
okay.
I'm not an overtone singer.
Uh-huh.
I don't put myself out there, but I can create the overtone. So what I'm going to
Okay.
do, you're going to hear me sing a fundamental pitch. That means
Okay.
one note.
Mm-hmm.
And then as I'm going to manipulate and alter the space in my mouth, the resonant space in my mouth, and you're going to hear other notes show up. So I'm going to be singing one note at the bottom, but you're going to hear other little notes on top. And that is the overtone series. Anybody can do this, Aida.
Oh, I thought it was, yeah, I think I saw in some of those shows that present people who are very special and have talents, and they say that not everybody can, and you're telling us you can do it.
This is built into the human physiology. Okay,
Wow.
so here we go. So I hope this works.
Okay, let's try.
Okay. Do you hear them?
Yes, yes, it's like a didgeridoo that has like this basic sound, and then there's another, like other layers of sound on top of
Yes.
it, all
Yes.
coming from the same instrument.
Yes.
Wow.
So everybody can do that. Is what the point I'm making is that
Mm.
this is built into us. So when we hear those thirds or those triads, we go, "Oh my God, that's me." So so your body says, "Oh, that resonates with my physiology and with me. I know
With
that."
my nature.
Yes. So
Wow.
I got really excited about triads.
Wow. You know what? It makes me think a little bit about cats. You know, when they're purring, they use
Yes. Uh-huh.
sound for healing
Uh-huh.
or to comfort themselves, and it's already built in. And maybe we have this ability. I don't know, maybe you have heard about like these stories from Lemuria or Mu or Atlantis, where they said that they could do those things with their voices. You know, there's this mythology talking about it. And so maybe we have forgotten that we have the instrument or how to use it, but maybe the ancient civilizations knew how to use this not only for rituals but also for healing. This makes sense, right?
I'm telling you, yes, absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So so that is why triads are very, very important. And the harmonics that you hear in the crystal singing bowls contain within those fundamental pitches. Like you have a crystal singing bowl that's like that you hear a C, like a low C, but wrapped in that note, that fundamental note, are all these other harmonics.
Okay, so
That
it
is,
doesn't come alone. It has like this other, it's like a rainbow, maybe you could say, no?
it's
You
a
have all the
rainbow.
different colors, even
Yeah.
within one bowl
Right.
itself.
Yes. You may not be able to pick them up like you did with my voice just now because I was separating them.
Yeah,
But within my voice, if I wasn't doing that, it's carrying all of those harmonics all the time. So when you hear me speak, you're also getting those harmonics.
of course. So this is
And
like fractal energy present in nature and in ourselves.
yes, yes, it's
Wow.
definitely in ourselves.
Wow.
So and so the interval of a seventh, so that would be like if you can call to mind Maria, the melody Maria,
Mhm.
Maria, that is the seventh is bum bum bum. There's a somewhere, there's a place to know. Do you know that melody?
Yes.
Okay, that's a seventh. So what that does in us is we hear it, but it's a dissonant sound where so our energy is pulled toward the octave where it's consonants.
Mm-hmm.
So in music, you're hearing dissonance resolving to consonance, dissonance resolving to consonance, and
Okay.
that helps your body move to um, coherence.
So
And
it would make sense. I'm sorry that I'm interrupting you, but it makes sense because when I've heard that like that song, Mary, if you have ever heard Plácido Domingo singing that one, you get goosebumps, like you can't control it. Your body reacts when he hits those higher notes. It's
yes,
like, as you say, it pulls you.
Yeah.
And so it's a part of our nature. That's why our bodies react to that. Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. His voice was extraordinary, extraordinary. And you look at his face, all the resonating chambers in his face. I mean, he was a large man, a huge
Yeah.
head.
Hmm.
So all of that resonance creates these harmonics and these overtones, which are incredibly healing. So these are higher, very high frequency.
Hmm.
So that lines up with the frequency of love is a very high frequency, very
Yeah.
fast,
Yeah.
and the lower frequency emotions are not.
No.
So the more we can align with those higher frequency foods, higher frequency essential oils,
Hmm.
that is why they are healing, is because it returns our body to a harmonic, coherent, whole state. That's what you're doing.
Wow. This is interesting because of course I know that there are some research going on. There is research, particularly people like Joe Dispenza, Greg Braden, Bruce Lipton, who they are using meditation to help achieve that heart coherence. But at the same time, music plays a very important part in many meditations. And what you're saying right now, of course, is gonna like provide the structure for us to reach those states in a more easy way, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Hmm. Makes
And
sense.
then so above and beyond that, we know that music has an effect on our blood pressure, on our heart rate, on the stress hormones like cortisol, adrenaline. It lowers that, on vagal nerve stimulation, which is that goes throughout your body. It returns your body to a state of calm.
Hmm.
If the vagus nerve is ramped up, then you're always in a highly anxious state.
Yes.
And your friend Dr. Bruce Lipton said you cannot heal and defend at the same time. So if
Exactly.
you're defending, if you're defending against toxins in your environment or bad thoughts or whatever, you're not healing. So music can return you to that state where you can heal.
Hmm.
So and then let the body do what it knows how to do,
Yeah.
is to return you to wholeness.
Yes, but this is interesting because you're right. Like the pace, the life pace that we have right now, it's very stressful, even though we don't really have any apparent danger. But in our brain, the brain doesn't distinct. Like there is no distinction between apparent danger and real danger. Like if you're imagining it for your brain and for your body, it's true, and you're creating all of these different chemicals that make you get into this state, and you're all like you're ready to either flee or fight. No, they say flee or fight. So you're with all of this stress, the cortisol, and everything, and obviously all your resources go there. And if you don't give a breather to your body, then if it needs to heal, the first thing that comes to mind is no, we have to be safe. So all the resources go to trying to keep you safe, even though it's not real, but in your mind it is. So it's good to know that we can use music to help the body revert to a calm state. And then if we need to do some healing, the resources can go back to that instead of being wasted into this imaginary that we have. But it's really hard modern life in terms of that, the stress and everything. It's like, and many people have no idea what can I do to revert back to this state of calm and healing. So it's really interesting what you're finding.
Let me give your audience some tools they can use immediately if they're
Awesome.
feeling that they're starting to get anxious.
Okay.
Um, One other thing I want to do before I do that is,
Mhm.
this is an incredible way to understand that thoughts can create physiological shifts. So I want you to think in your mind, I want you to hold your hand out like this. Do it right now. And I
Mhm.
want you to see in your hand this incredibly beautiful lemon, and it's
Ah.
cut in half and it's yellow, and you just got it out of the refrigerator, and you see the juice dripping down the side of the lemon. Now I want you to take it to your mouth and pretend like you take a lick of that lemon.
Mhm.
Do you
Mm.
get any saliva? Are you
Yes,
that
I
is your
always react like this.
That's your mind. There was no
Exactly.
lemon there, but your
No.
mind created that and it released saliva in
Hmm.
anticipation of that
And the
acid
leaking and also
lemon.
and
So can you imagine if your mind is saying to you, you're in danger, you are releasing chemicals which allow your body to flee or fight
Mhm.
because of that imaginary danger. So, so what can you do if you find yourself slipping into that, whether the danger is true or not? I mean, hopefully it's not true,
Yeah.
but the one thing you can do, this is what happens when that fight or flight, your blood pressure goes up
Mhm.
because you're getting ready for some physical action and your
Exactly.
breathing increases.
Mhm.
So you cannot control, well, maybe some people can. You can't control your heart rate, but you can control your breathing.
Mhm.
Can control your breathing. So you must just at that moment, just put your hands on your belly and start breathing so that your belly is moving out. So you're deep breathing and to go really, really slow. You do that about 3 or 4 breaths and
Mhm.
you will be back to a state of calm. Because when you are not in a state of calm, you are not thinking.
No, you're
Your
completely
front
incoherent. Mhm.
the frontal cortex is not online. You go into your reptilian brain, which is the one that gets you out of danger. So you're
Mhm.
not thinking clearly, you're all hyped up. So
Mhm.
yes, the first thing you can do immediately is breathe. And the next
Mm.
thing you can do is find some music that is very slow music, and hopefully with no words, because the words will engage your left brain, which is it's it is more um, information based or
Rational.
quantitative. Yeah, and the right is qualitative and more gestalt thinking.
Mhm. Mhm.
So so you want to get into right brain.
Yeah.
So you can do that with slow music. So breathing and slow music.
Mhm.
That's immediate. You can do that.
Okay, this is really good. And also, like, if you know that you're gonna have or you are prone to anxiety attacks, then you can prepare like a playlist of music beforehand. And ideally, it would be music, as you said, no words, no
No
lyrics,
words.
but also music that has no emotional charge on it for you. Because
Yes.
also, like, you're having a crisis, no, and then you listen a song that makes you get sad, even though it's slow music, then it's not gonna help. You're gonna you should try to find music that is a more neutral and that's gonna enhance what you're trying to do, not bring you to the opposite side of it as well. Yes, it's
Right.
very good.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Well, that's a good tip for us to
Yeah.
practice
Yes.
to do
Yeah.
that.
So
Mhm.
just that's an immediate, like, it's like you do have an emergency room in your right in your breathing. Yeah.
Okay, how
That's good.
interesting. And obviously that goes also together with, for example, singing and music
Hmm.
and also the chanting of mantras, like this this that you're telling us about, this research that you're finding, like it's always it's like bringing us back to our bodies
Yes.
or connect to its intelligence to heal.
And what another thing I'll say, I should have mentioned this initially, was a
Mhm.
chanting or humming. So as you're breathing on
Mhm.
the out breath, just hum. Or it doesn't have to, you know, if you can talk, you can hum. So
Of
it doesn't have
course.
to be any specific note or anything. And so I'll just demonstrate. So I'll take a deep breath.
Mhm.
I mean, it doesn't have to be any, it's not a song, it's not anything. It's just a release of sound on the breath.
Okay.
So that's called toning. But I gotta tell you what I do whenever I go to the dentist, because I get kind of, oh, geez, the dentist, you know, you're there with your
Yeah.
mouth open, you're laid back, you're being very vulnerable. And what I do through the entire procedure, I tell my dentist beforehand, I said, don't be alarmed, but I'm gonna hum through this whole thing. And I
Wow.
do. I
That's
do.
a
I
great
just I
idea.
do. I hum through the whole thing,
Uh-huh.
and it, number one, takes my mind off of what's happening, and it also kind of deadens the sound of the drill or whatever they're using.
Mhm.
So that's another little thing that your listeners can do, is when they go to the dentist, just to hum. I do
Ah,
it. I
that's
really do. I do it.
That's a great idea. I wish I knew because I just finished a long dentist treatment. That would have been really, really useful. But for the next time that I have to go, oh, this is interesting. And you know what? This that you're sharing with us reminds me also of like when you're holding a baby and the baby's crying
Mm-hmm.
and you're like rocking the baby. And many mothers or whomever is holding the baby, they start not only singing but sometimes just humming,
Sure.
and that humming is also helping soothe the baby. So, and it's something natural that we do. It's not like, oh, in school they taught me how to hum to make the baby stop crying. It's just something that comes naturally to us. So
Mm-hmm.
it's somewhere there in our unconscious and our collective unconscious, no?
Right. And one other thing, Ida, is when you hum, if you
Mhm.
put your hand on your chest, so let's do that right now. Let's hum,
Yeah.
put your hand on your chest, and we're going to
Okay.
take a deep breath and we're going to do a little
Mhm.
hum. And then you tell me where you feel the vibration.
Okay.
Okay. So take
Okay.
your big breath.
Okay.
Mm.
Mm, I feel it here in this part and
Mm-hmm.
also over here. Like as you
Mm-hmm.
said, the resonance it goes up,
Mm-hmm.
but mostly it's like here.
Right at your heart.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that's why mothers do that. Then they're sharing their heart energy through their humming. Yeah,
Wow.
right through the heart chakra.
Wow.
So, and then when we do it for ourselves, we're sharing our own love to ourselves, which
Exactly.
we need our own love to ourselves a lot.
Yeah, just like the example I gave before, no, like cat purring, we
Uh,
humans, we hum.
yeah, right. Yes, right. We
That's
do a,
nice.
yeah, the kitty purr is a hum to a human.
Exactly. That's what we would do. This is interesting because these things seem to be so simple and so like it's not a big deal, but apparently it is a big deal for our bodies when we do this. Hmm.
It is a big deal. Yeah.
Wow.
It kind of returns you to center again, turns you
Yeah.
to center.
Yeah.
And if you go out into the world, I know if I go downtown or I know where you live, if you go outside on the street, you get all these ambient sounds that are not really coherent or cohesive.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we have to because we live in, I mean, we're here on the earth. It's where we live. So, but to balance that by going into your room and put your earphones on. Important to put earphones on when you listen to music so
Yeah.
that you cut out all the other ambient sounds in
Mhm.
your house or
Yeah.
from the traffic outside and just go in your own little world inside yourself
Yeah.
with your
Yeah.
to
This
get
is really interesting. Uh-huh. Hadn't thought about it like you can, and many of us do that. Like we don't think about it. We're just like, oh, it's too noisy, or I need to concentrate, and you put on your headphones and you just create a space out of time and space
Mhm,
for yourself.
mhm.
Yeah.
It's
Wow.
almost like you're making your own sonic sanctuary.
I like that. Sonic Sanctuary. We should all be creating our own sonic sanctuary. This is really nice. Yeah.
Yeah, our sonic spiritual sanctuary. I guess we
Yeah.
get crazy with those S's, but yeah, but I like sonic sanctuary.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. And you can go there wherever you want. No, but you have to choose also very carefully what kind of music you will
Oh
put in
yeah,
there.
please.
Definitely.
I'm imploring your audience. Uh, music with a heavy bass is very, very damaging to your body energy, and also,
Really?
yeah,
Ah.
it will splatter everything. So I mean, if you don't, you want a nice smooth aura, but music with a very heavy bass that's intermittent or
Hmm.
pounding will
Hmm.
just, you look at somebody's aura and it's all splattered, lots of holes in it.
And a lot of people, at least here in Mexico, a lot of people love listening to that music. And you see the cars passing by, with the bass at like whole full throttle, and it's really wow. Yeah.
Sitting on those speakers. They're sitting on those speakers that the sonic energy from those low speakers interrupts the smooth muscles in a body. So where those smooth muscles are in your gut are in the intestine, the lower intestine.
Mm.
So they will have problems. I tell you, they will have
Wow.
problems because it's being jerked around, those smooth muscles.
Wow. And people have no idea. And
They
they
have
do it
no
like
idea.
whatever. Oh my
Uh-uh.
God.
No. So by age 40 or 50, they're going to have a lot of gastrointestinal problems. If you can get my drift here, because those
Yeah.
smooth muscles are not going to work very well.
Of course, because they're gonna be out of balance and they can't work properly. Of
They've been
course.
damaged
Of course.
because they've been shaken like this. It's like, you shake a brick wall enough times and it'll start to crumble.
Of
So
course.
there are physiological ramifications of that loud bass music. I can't stand it. I just cannot stand it.
Wow.
I know my body says no, I run away.
Of course.
So if
Uh-huh.
I'm in traffic and I hear that, I will let that person go way far away from me. Good luck, because when you're 50, you're going to be not good.
Yeah, but it's amazing how we have so little information about how to take care of our bodies, but not only in terms of general health, but also in terms of this, no, light pollution and sound pollution as well.
Mhm.
For example, here in Mexico, and that's something that I hope that eventually it will change with all of these firecrackers
Oh,
and
horrible.
fireworks and like actually, well, you knew my dog Jupiter, my little
Mhm.
Jupiter.
Yeah.
She was so scared of fireworks and she got really sick because her she was nervous all the time. So
Mhm.
apparently she developed some kind of leukemia. We didn't catch it in time, and she was always. I was trying to soothe her with their special like music for dogs
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
aromatherapy and
Yeah.
everything, and still she was there with me, and I was holding her, and she was just trembling, and sadly she passed away. She only lived like 6 years, and that I'm sure that that's an effect of the stress she had every time there were
Yes.
firecrackers.
Yeah.
And so firsthand, I know I've seen it personally that there is an impact of sound, not only in health but also like in some animals die because of the sound. They get startled and it's so much pressure that they get sick and die. So hopefully we humans at some point we will have enough awareness to stop doing this, not only to mother nature and other uh, beings, sentient beings, but also to ourselves, because this is not natural,
Mm-mm.
definitely.
It is
No,
not natural. If you think, what kind of sound pollution we had, say, even 100 years ago, is nowhere like what we have now.
of course not.
No.
No, even just here where I lived 20 years ago, we didn't have as much sound pollution as we do now. It's just, and I wonder, why are we humans becoming more and more noisy? What are we trying to escape from that we have to create the noise as a distraction?
Okay. I
No?
have a theory on that.
Okay.
Uh, I have a degree in I have a master's degree in counseling because I became fascinated with this whole process of how you heal. So I have it in a graduate degrees in music and in counseling, and there is it's a phenomenon, sadly, that if people are in such pain that they will cut themselves.
Ah, yes, cutting.
It
I've
is
heard
it
about it.
is it is a focus,
Mhm.
and it relieves uh, the emotional pain because it gives a focus of physical pain.
You
So
change, so you shift from emotional pain to physical pain.
right, and they're able to drain it. They drain out their emotional pain through the physical pain. So so I think all of this noise is a way of cutting.
It makes sense. Yes,
It
of
is an
course.
expression of great fear, of anxiety, of terror and despair.
Yeah, despair. That's what I was thinking. Uh-huh. Wow.
Yeah, so I think so. I mean, you think about uh, people in solitary confinement who have committed terrible crimes for whatever reason. And I'm not making a judgment here, but to be in silence by themselves, they very often will go crazy.
Yes, or try to commit suicide.
Yes, right. It's just too
It's
much.
it's too
So
much.
I think that the sound in Mexico, so I'm aware of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
My God, is a way of deflecting their own inner pain.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. Yes, because sadly, yes, we are carrying a lot of pain.
Yeah,
Definitely. Hmm.
the
Hmm.
world is.
Yeah, and if you're not aware of that pain and you don't know how to heal it or direct it, well, yes, it has to find a way out. Definitely, an outlet. Hmm.
And there's one other way you can get rid of that pain is to live above it.
Uh-huh.
So let's think of the pain as having a energetic component.
Hmm.
So you have to go to a higher level of energy
Hmm. Yes,
ab-
to like break the
above it.
cycle.
To break the cycle, you have to go above it, which means listening to music, eating really good food, so that the toxic food you eat is not helpful
No.
because it carries lower energetic imprints or
Yeah.
signatures.
Yeah.
So yes, going above it with music, with beautiful thoughts, for gratitude for everything,
Yes,
everything.
gratitude has a very high energy, positive
Yes.
energy. So that help love and gratitude are the ones. Many people say, I can't feel love for anything right now. No, it's so hard for me, like if I'm living a very difficult situation. But there's always something to be grateful for, even if it's just the roof over your head, that you have food to eat, even
Oh
though
yeah.
everything else is crumbling down. But you say, okay, I can give thanks at least for this. I am alive, and as long as there is life, there is hope. So, no?
Yes, no, I have great empathy for what is happening to humanity right now. But
Yes.
this is the choice point, and let me make that really clear. This is the choice point.
Mhm.
So we as human beings, as we have this is the time in our evolution that we can choose. So you can choose gratitude and love, and we just saw how powerful thought is. You can choose, rather than focusing on the pain and the terror and the despair. You change your focus. It takes a huge amount of effort, but it gets easier because your brain has these kind of synapses or neural pathways. You're going to have to change those pathways. And one really good way, and I keep saying this, is listen to beautiful music. That's a focus. Meditation is just focus. That's all it is. So,
Yes.
and music is a good way to shift from this feeling of despair and horror. There's plenty of that if you want to get into that, to making a different choice at this choice point. I'm going to go this way. I am going to change my, what we call, trajectory. I'm going down this path. I'm not going to go down this one anymore.
Mhm.
There's only pain down that path.
Yeah. And I think we've had enough of that. And a lot of people are realizing that there are other options, and we can find also alternative ways of healing. No? And so this is interesting because, as you very well said at the beginning of this conversation, not many people are really looking into the potential of using music or sounds for healing. No,
No, they
this is
are.
like
Yeah.
something relatively new, although sound has been very present in humanity, like for as long as we've had culture, we've had music. That
Yes.
is a fact, no? But how can we now, like, because you're talking about quantum physics and science as well. Now you are pairing up your research with the scientific part. We're mixing healing techniques with science, and also with even technology, no? This new
Mhm.
understanding of how are we going to explain through science the spiritual, no? And these things, like, we are wired in a way that this is very appealing, and we don't know why. And some people, by instinct, let's call it that way, instinct, or I don't know, inspiration, they feel like at some point somebody thought, hey, we have these bowls, these Tibetan bowls, which are metal. Why don't we try to do them with quartz? Somebody thought about it, right? And then it's like, oh, okay, now we can change from metal to crystal. And now what else can we do? Can we create them in different pitches? Yes, we can do it. Oh, okay. Okay. So now that we have them in different pitches, what if we have a person laying down and we're going to put the ball on top of them and we're gonna start making music and see what happens, no? So there's a lot of experimentation going on, but it's very empiric in a way, no? There is no real theory behind it. This is something very new in a way, like people really taking this seriously enough to do some research. But can you tell us, in your experience, how have you been integrating all of this with the practice, no? Like the sound baths that you give. I've been fortunate enough to be present in at least two of them, and I can tell you it's like it's like a beautiful, I don't know, like your whole body starts resonating with the sound of the bowls, but you also integrate music and singing and even images,
Mhm.
which I find that is delicious. So in your experience, how have you been able to start putting together the actual practice of using these bowls and using the music for healing, plus everything that you've been seeing in terms of history or research? How are you leaving these two coming together?
The inception of all of this began in Peru when I went to study with the shaman. The Shipibo Indians are uh, uh, other tribes do this sound healing with the plant medicine called ayahuasca. And I had great respect for the ceremonies and the shamans and this plant medicine. So I went down to Peru because I wanted to uh, understand music and the singing bowls and melody at a deeper level than just what my conscious mind could understand through my thinking. So the ayahuasca allowed me to go beyond thinking to just knowing. And what I learned from other realms, so all I can tell you is that I was directed to, if I chose to do this, is to take the energy of that medicine, which was all love, all total love, just unbelievable, um, and translate it into music that the Western ear, us in Western countries,
Mhm,
could understand and accept. The sacred songs of the shaman are called Icaros, and I was allowed to use that as a name. So that's what my musical partner Daniel Wyman and I called ourselves, Icaros, the Icaros, and that's the name of our duo. And so we used the energy of the ayahuasca and the Shipibo Indians, and what I learned from them as it really imprinted on me. And what I learned in my research about commonalities of healing instruments and healing music, and I translated all of that into my own music. Daniel and I did it. And all of the CDs that we created were all of them were improvised. We may have had a slight idea of what keys we were going to play in, but generally it was all inspirational and improvised, and we just put ourselves into a trance,
mhm.
however that happened, and the music came through us.
Right.
So the Icaros have an effect of influencing on a quantum level the the bioenergetics of your body, and pull up in your body those memories that are still dark, which are not allowing the light to occupy in your bioenergetic body. So I've gone through 10 of those ceremonies, and I've been able to, I think, pretty well clean the house.
Okay.
And because it was my desire, and it was my promise to this energy of ayahuasca and deep love, divine love, to make myself as clear as I could to be a channel for this music.
Wow.
So I know, because I experienced it, what the Icaros do, what the music does, and it cleans you out if you allow it. Now, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people say I'm not ready, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But we know that at the base level, everything is energy. There really is no matter,
Exactly.
and we know that everything vibrates,
Mm-hmm.
which which in that in itself says that everything can make a sound given the right environment. So
Of
everything
course.
is frequency and vibration.
Mm-hmm.
So you said that music was with us from the beginning of our culture. Music was with us from the beginning, whatever that
Mm-hmm.
was. But as
Well,
we
yes,
know,
in creation, definitely.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
and on other realms, there is no time. So we get into a real, altered state. And very often when people listen to the music that Daniel and I have created, they go into those altered states where there is no time.
Yes.
And they start existing in that higher frequency environment,
Mm-hmm.
which that is the way out of the horror and the despair,
Yeah.
is to just live above it.
Wow. It's really nice to know that we have these tools available for because sometimes you say I can't go to a group to learn how to meditate, or I don't have the time. But surely, even like when because I've done that with your music, just put on my earphones and just put play and fall asleep, and your subconscious mind is still receiving that healing. So you don't need to like, oh, okay, I'm going to consciously do this.
Mm-mm.
You can just put it before going to bed and you just listen to it, and it's going to be doing its magical work on your
Yes, you
body,
don't
no?
even have to be aware. Absolutely not. The sounds and the energy that comes with those sounds are redoing your brain,
Wow.
reformating those neural pathways so
Mhm.
that you will be, and this is really important, is to not be reactive, but to
Mm.
be reflective, to
Yeah,
reflect
that's
instead
a
of react.
that's very different, because you react like you're in defensive mode, but when you're reflective, you're like in peace and okay, what can I give back? No? How can I co-create? There is a
Right.
difference.
Yeah.
Wow.
Or I'm not in myself right now. I need to reflect. I need to come back into myself.
Yeah, just like come back to the
Rather,
center.
yeah, rather than in the ego pain or the trauma.
Yes, of
Because,
course. Wow. So there's another very important question I want to ask you, because your music is not tuned to what most mainstream music is tuned to. The normal frequency, it's 441 hertz, like in mainstream music, no? And they use it because I remember there is a singer. He's from Latin America. I can't remember which country he's from. He sings bachata. He's Juan Luis Guerra. Probably you have heard about him. And his group is called Juan Luis Guerra y su cuatro, no, 440, I think. It's not 441, sorry. It's 440 hertz. And he said that he chose that name because that frequency was like the most harmonious one. But now we have new research saying like, no, the original frequency that we should be listening music to, that is more attuning to nature and our true selves, is 432 hertz. And I don't know
correct.
if you had the opportunity to listen, for example, because some people had been changing from the 440 to the 432 hertz music, like Beatles music or whatever, and you listen to it and it's like it's really really different. It's the same song but it's different.
Mhm.
So how come that you decided to change into this frequency for your music, and what is the importance of actually having it tuned to this 432 hertz frequency?
Okay. This is critical, and I'm really glad you brought it up. 432 hertz is actually the pitch of that because a hertz designates how fast the vibrations go. That is the pitch of an A, a
Okay.
note A,
Mhm, mhm.
432. So um, and I'll explain why I did this. Everything that is on my music is tuned to 432 hertz A. So if you can recall that if you go to an orchestra, you always hear the oboe play one note, that is an A. Now that is tuned to 440 hertz.
Okay.
And then the whole orchestra tunes off of that one note so that when they're playing different notes, they're all playing the same. It's not dissonant. So, but that's wrong. 440 does not align with our natural geometry in our bodies
Oh, okay.
or in nature. You think of a pine cone, you think of a flower, a daisy, they all have this spiral shape, right?
Mm.
Well, that goes into another, we won't go there right now. We can, but that's the Fibonacci spiral. That is a
Yeah,
ratio. That's a ratio.
yeah, the
But
golden
let's,
ratio.
right.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about 432 hertz at A. So what that does is when every note that you're playing, your whole orchestra or whoever you're making music with has tuned to that 432,
Mm-hmm.
every note off of that is aligned with this sacred geometry.
Okay.
And so if you see what that geometry looks like, which we can do now, we have technology to see what it
Mm.
is. That's called the study of cymatics.
Mm-hmm.
Cymatics, cymatics. So if you play like 432 hertz, which is an A, underneath a metal plate with sand on top of it, then you will get this beautiful geometric pattern that forms in the sand.
Mm-hmm.
But if you tune that A to 440 hertz, it is not as clear a geometry.
Oh, okay.
That's a very easy thing to look up on YouTube.
Yes, yes, there's tons of videos about. Uh-huh.
Tons of stuff on there. So if you listen to music tuned to 440 hertz, it may be it may slow your heart down, it may do some things, but it will
Mm.
not impact your body as profoundly
Mhm.
unless you pick music that is tuned to A at 432 hertz. Okay, there's something else though too that is also endemic and really incredible with tuning everything to 432 hertz is that the geometry that is formed from F sharp, A sharp, C sharp, which is a triad, and we talked about triads,
Mhm, mhm.
is if it's tuned to A at 432 hertz, you will get what we call the star tetrahedron shape.
Oh,
And
okay.
that's the Merkaba.
Okay. Wow. Wow.
So that shape will form around you listening to music in F sharp tuned to 432 hertz. You will
Wow.
you will be forming your own Merkaba, which is your light body,
Wow.
which will
Activating it through sound.
yes,
Wow.
yeah,
That's really
yes.
nice.
So when you're in my sound baths,
Mm-hmm.
Aida, I play tons of F sharp, A sharp,
Ah,
C
that
sharp.
explains, like, yeah, because the resonance, like the energy that I felt, I was like, oh, what is this? This feels really cool, like weird because I've never felt anything like this, but my body was reacting. Like I
Yeah.
could feel it, like, oh, what's going on here? This is so cool. Wow, that's amazing.
That was your Merkaba. That was your light body, and it's in the shape of a star tetrahedron,
Mm-hmm.
which in my research I found from physicists Nassim Harameem, who is an incredible physicist, has discovered that the star tetrahedron is the fundamental shape within the field. So it's not a physical, it's not matter, but it's energetic.
Yes.
So everything corresponds to that star tetrahedron
Wow.
spiraling. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why we see pine cones and everything in nature reflects this same pattern,
Yes.
even us,
Yes, there is
our
an
bodies.
intelligence behind creation. I mean, these patterns show it clearly. Like people might say, oh, God doesn't exist, but there is an intelligence directing creation. And definitely the elements are there for us to discover, just like you're discovering through sound and all of these elements. And you can say, okay, how can I use these elements that come from nature? And this is science. No,
Yes.
this is quantum physics, but it's also physics, and it's part of our natural world. How can I use it to bring us back to that natural state that we should be in, but we've forgotten because culture again, no?
Mhm. The man who really he actually turned out to be a friend of mine. His name is Eric Rankin, and he through intuition discovered that uh, that F sharp, A sharp, C sharp carried this geometry.
Mhm.
And he has a YouTube documentary that your listeners may love to look up. It's on YouTube. It's called Sonic Geometry.
Okay.
Sonic geometry, sound geometry, and it will explain everything about 432 plus the geometry that the F sharp, A sharp, C sharp triad creates in you if you
Wow.
listen to music.
Wow. Wow. This is really interesting. So there's a lot of new research that we should be mindful about to learn how we can start bringing that into our daily lives, because these are tools for us to be feeling better, and many people have no idea that that's out there. So it's good
Yeah.
that you're doing the research and that you're bringing this information to us in a way that we can understand it, because some of these concepts are a bit complex, no, to understand, but you're giving us examples from nature and life, so it should be easier for us to understand and just go and find the resources um, to use them for our own good. So I really appreciate that, Flicka. Thank you so much. um well, I had many questions that we ended up talking about all of this, which is fantastic, and I love it. This means that you will have to come back to our podcast sometime soon so that we can continue this conversation, because obviously, how can you talk about all of these things in one session? It's impossible. So I will be very happy to have you back with us again to continue talking about this, because it's really important. And so I would just like to ask, do you have any upcoming events? Or like, tell us, I saw something about you're
Yes,
going to Hawaii, I think. Can you
I
tell us a little
am.
bit more about it?
Well, I have been a part of this group of musicians called Artistology. Artistology, like psychology, but this artist, it's the study of the artist.
Oh,
And in my book, my very dear friend Tammy McCrary, who contributed the last chapter in my book, because she is an artist manager to artists in Los Angeles.
mhm.
She has created this group called Artistology, and she is hosting a retreat in Hawaii in which all of these top name big artists are going to be there,
Cool.
who are going to experience the deeper levels of music. I mean, they've made their living off of music, but they don't know what I know.
Of course.
And so I will be there to teach them a little bit more um, about the art that they have been using and participating in, but they don't understand the deeper metaphysical levels of music. So, and I'll be doing sound meditations every day for them with the crystal singing bowls in Hawaii.
Wow. Wow, that's really cool. And what about if people want to go to a sound bath with you, and you also give therapy, right?
Yes, I do. One-on-one with people. And in those I do, I place the bowls all over their body. And so I have a specific technology in which they can experience those frequencies throughout their body. They lay on a mat that channels those frequencies all the way through their body.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what kind of results have you had? What do people tell you as a feedback from when they are going to have these sessions with you?
Well, you know, it's different every time. Even the same person can come because they're different.
Mhm.
But very often, many of them will go into altered realms or see people who have passed, or aliens. I've had somebody say, "Oh, they're all over the room. I could see them." And I thought, well, who am I to question that? I don't know. But mostly they'll say I never slept better than the night after when I had a session with you,
Yes.
or my blood pressure dropped for like 3 or 4 days after I saw you, because a lot of it is retracking, some kind of habitual physical response. So
Wow.
we're retracking, we're redoing it so
Mhm.
that the body is reset.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, and I can attest to that. That is true. Like when I've been in your sound baths, that night I sleep like a baby. It's like amazing. It's really, really cool. And so, can you tell us a little bit more? Where can we buy your book and your CDs? I have one of them here. I think this is the first one, right, that you
I
released?
did, yes. That's Chakra Soundscapes.
Chakra
And you
Soundscape.
see the jaguar on the front of that.
Mhm.
And also there's an eagle and the Om signal up. I know,
Right
I love
here.
that jaguar.
Yeah.
But that was a vision that came to me during the sacred ceremonies, was that jaguar.
Mhm.
So the jaguar is my friend and
Yeah, it's
my
beautiful.
totem animal. I love him or her.
Yeah.
It's an it, I guess.
So here it's music to attune your chakras.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
The specific every chakra is there, plus the high heart chakra,
Mhm.
which is the one that is between your heart chakra and your throat chakra. So
Mhm.
it's right there.
Look how beautiful this is.
So yeah, and there's a picture of Daniel. Let's see,
Yeah.
yeah, little Daniel.
Yeah, and which can you show us your other
Sure.
CDs? And
Mhm.
we can order these through Amazon,
The
iTunes.
CDs, yeah,
Mhm.
the CDs are on Spotify or iTunes. You can
Mhm.
download them through all the streaming platforms.
Mhm.
So, and here is this one's called Hymns to Gaia.
Mm.
So, in this, the tracks celebrate the earth element, water element, love element, wind, fire, and the ethereal and spirit element. So yeah, so that's that one. And
Mhm.
then the last one, which I think this, well, the first, I love them all, but this is an amazing one. This is called Ascension. And I I felt that that is where we as a species are going. We are now at the choice point where
Yeah.
we can, as a collective, ascend or not.
Mm.
So the first track is called Earth to the Cosmos, in which I give you kind of a sonic journey from using the Indian buffalo drum to begin with, and then we end up floating in the stars, and that's all introduced through sound. And then
Wow.
the next one is called the Pleiadian Call. I feel like interestingly, as I have allowed myself to just give up me, that these other sounds have been coming. So I'm doing some channeling of
Mhm.
language, but it's not language. It's information that's carried on vowels, is the way it was
Mm.
explained to me,
Wow.
of the Pleiadian energy.
Wow.
So that's on this one, and the Spiral Symphony, which is a melodic representation of the Fibonacci sequence.
Mhm.
So the melody is built off of those ratios, and it's a
Wow.
beautiful melody. So, and then Invitation to Ascension, and then Chant to Love is the last one, which is a Hindu chant,
Wow.
because it's all about love. It's
Yeah.
that's the only way. So I love this one. It's called Ascension, and if you see the person doing yoga is wrapped around his DNA, because
Yeah.
that is the ladder. That is Jacob's ladder.
That is Jacob's ladder. Oh my God. That is so cool. Yes, in our DNA. Wow.
Mhm.
This is
So
amazing.
guard your DNA, guard
Excellent.
it with your life.
Yeah,
So you can do that by eating, healthy foods and staying
of
away from
course.
all toxins. And
And can
so,
you show us your book? Because you talk
okay,
about
here,
your own history, but also all of these things you have told us about your research and what you have found about sound.
it's all in
So,
here. Right. So
Mhm.
I talk about my own journey and about my time in Peru and with other cultures.
Mhm.
So I really try to share my journey and what I've learned, and
Mhm.
then the research behind what I learned.
Yeah.
And in the
And
back there's a big index, so if you want to look anything up, you can find it in the back of the book and just go
mhm.
to that page.
And this you can order through Amazon as well, right?
Absolutely, Amazon. That's the place to get it.
Okay, perfect. And how can people contact you, Flicka? Do you have Facebook, Instagram, email,
I do
website?
a Facebook. It's all Flicka Rahn Facebook page,
Mhm,
and then my own personal website is flickarahn.com,
mhm,
and you can find ways of purchasing all of the stuff. And then
mhm.
there is the Icaros, which is another website for just the music.
Perfect.
Daniel, tell you about Daniel and me.
And also I think that you have some of these songs uploaded in YouTube as well,
I
no?
do.
People can find you on YouTube as well to
Yes.
listen
Uh-huh.
to
You
your
can.
music.
Right,
Excellent.
with the visuals, and that's really important. We never talked about that.
Aha.
But the music is I had visuals made by my graphic artist, Alana Luna.
Very talented.
Oh my God, is she ever? I
Yeah.
love her. Yeah. So she did visuals for each of the chakras,
Mhm.
in the color of the chakra. So you
Wow.
can immerse yourself in the colors and the visuals and the animals represented by each of the, like the root chakra is the elephant, and
Excellent.
yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much, Flicka. Is there anything else you would like to tell our audience in terms of how they can benefit from music, or any tip that you want to give us, or any final advice?
Well, what I tell my clients who say, how can I become more of a more peaceful person or a happier person? Because out of that comes everything else. Is I said, please just listen. And I say my music, and the reason I say it is because I know it's in 432 hertz, that it's tuned, and that it has all these elements that I've done the research on. So
Mhm.
listen to my music. Maybe start out 15 minutes a day, and then lie down on a couch, close your eyes, put something over your eyes, and put your earphones on, and disappear into your own sonic sanctuary every
Excellent.
day. And your
Yeah.
life will change. If only people would do that.
Well, I think that now we have that option because we can buy your CDs, be the physical CDs, or buy digitally or listen on YouTube. So, Synchronauts, go and listen to Flicka's music right now. Go check it out, buy her book. And if you ever have a chance, if you live in the United States and you ever have a chance to go to one of her sound baths or have therapy with her, I highly recommend it because she's amazing, and it really, really, really gives you a good breather, and your body will be very, very happy for you, giving the chance to just quiet time, but also healing time with music. Thank you so much,
One more
Flicka.
thing I want to say,
Sure.
Aida. Yeah. So
Yeah.
if, I want to give you my personal email, and I
Mhm.
want, if people have questions, because I really
Okay.
see myself as a servant. So I want to help anyone I can. So it's flickarahn@hotmail.com. And you can
Okay.
put that in please, feel free to email me directly.
Sure. So if you have any questions, Flicka is ready for them,
Mhm.
and she's going to expand them probably. Not solve your questions, but expand them, which is always very good. Thank you so much, Flicka, for this service that you're giving. And hopefully we can find other ways to connect, because like you are talking about quantum physics and healing, and it's also connected to Kabbalah. And so I'm going to bring all of these people that are coming to the Zuvuya sessions together so that at some point we can collaborate and help each other from our very different points of view. In my example, for example, I work with the law of time, you work with music, my teacher Mike Weiss with Kabbalah and quantum physics. And so we have all of these people coming together. And surely also, if anybody's listening to us right now who wants to collaborate or who has questions as well, contact us, and then maybe we can create something beautiful, all of us together. That's the purpose of this podcast, bringing people together, bringing experiences for healing, to bring peace, and to make us, well, like walk together in this thing called life. So thank you so much, Flicka. Thank you, Synchronauts. We'll see each other very soon. In the meantime, go listen to Flicka's music, and we will be hearing from you very, very soon again, Flicka. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Aida. It's been wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.